channel and welcome to another monthly money video. I can't believe it's already time for a new one, but I'm feeling so excited to film this one because I'm in such a better headspace about money and I'm so excited to talk about it. For anyone who might be new here, my name is Zoe. I live in Montreal and I'm 25 years old. Every single month I make these videos and the goal is to check in with you guys so we can hold each other accountable with our spending, with the goal of just saving more and feeling more confident and comfortable with our personal finances. I also talk a lot about the emotional aspect of money and how I've been feeling about money every single month because our emotions have such a large role in how we spend, what we spend on, and just basically how we are with our money. So I think it's really important to talk about. And as usual, I'm like 100% honest, oversharing, all of that. So if that interests you, make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss another video. And I've got lots of other good stuff coming up on my channel. I also want to thank Pila for sponsoring this video. We will talk about them a little bit later, but there is an amazing deal for you guys on a new phone case. So make sure you stick around for that part as well. And without further ado, let's talk about money. I'm gonna get cozy for this part because let's talk about how I've been feeling related to money. I always wanna talk about this part first because it really sets the stage and it's gonna explain sort of why I've spent on certain things and also just like how much money I made. We're gonna talk about all of that later. So how have I been feeling about money lately? At the beginning of the month, I would say I wasn't feeling super great. I was having a lot of anxiety as it relates to finance, and I talked about that a lot in my last monthly money video, which you can watch up here. The main culprit behind why I was feeling so anxious was because I was looking at the forecasting for my earnings. So I do YouTube full time. I also have a couple contracts, and it's pretty easy to forecast what you're gonna earn. You can see, do I have sponsored videos coming in? You can kind of see how are your videos performing, and that's gonna give you an indication of AdSense. And I also have gotten pretty good at learning the patterns and the habits of my contract client, my copywriting contract. So I know like when there's gonna be a lot of work and when there isn't. And last month I was anxious because looking forward, I could see that there wasn't a lot of work coming in on sort of all fronts. And I knew that my income was severely going to take a hit. At the same time, I hadn't adjusted my spending habits. I had a vacation coming up and all of that. So I was just like really feeling the heat. And I realized after the fact that like another big part of that anxiety was not just like, how am I gonna pay my bills, blah, blah, blah. Like that was a big part of it, but that's sometimes irrational because there's always a way to make ends meet. I'm very lucky that I've been focusing on my savings. So, you know, I'm never gonna be stranded, at least not for a couple months. I've got a decent buffer built up, but a lot of what I was also feeling was this pressure on myself to perform, to make a lot of money, right? Everything that we see on social media, in books, like wherever is like success, hustle, make money. Like it's not glamorous to not be making money. It's not glamorous to like, you know, everyone glamorizes like entrepreneurship and working for yourself, but the other, like the true, and yes, it's great. You're flexible, you're your own boss, you get to like do what you want, whatever. But that's glamorous. But the non-glamorous side is if you don't work, you don't make money. And if sometimes there's things out of your control. If your contract client isn't responding to you, they're on vacation, whatever, you're also not getting paid. And sometimes business is slow for a month or two. So that part of like entrepreneurship is not talked about. And I was feeling really bad about myself and I was taking all of that personally when I kind of had to realize it's actually not personal, it's business. And so I was able to come to that realization through a lot of chats with my boyfriend, thankful for him, who just kind of put things into perspective like, Zoe, if you want to be your own boss, you're gonna have to deal with this instability. And it doesn't mean you're a failure, it just means these are the ebbs and flows of business. I also spoke with my accountant who does personal and business accounting, and he was just like really like blunt about it. He's like, you could make a lot of money this year, you could make no money this year, and like that's business. And lastly, I spoke about it with my therapist, who she helped with more of like the anxiety side of making ends meet, where she was like, we went through some numbers together and she was like, you're fine. Like, you are fine. You might not be like rolling in the cash, ready to like put all your money into savings or ready to buy a new car, like whatever it may be, but you're fine. So all of those conversations really, really helped me. And it helped to flip my mindset into kind of seeing myself as a business and not taking things personally, and just removing this pressure that like you need to be successful and that like a certain amount of money will define your success, because at the end of the day, you'll always want to make more money. You make 60K one year, you're going to want to make 70, 80, 90, 100. There's always someone or something to compare yourself the next level up to. So I just really want to work on like turning inwards, having fun with my business and having fun with writing and with making YouTube videos, because this is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun. And you know, what my boyfriend told me that was just like so helpful was he looked me like dead in the eyes and he was like, if you don't like this, Zoe, if you don't like the variations in your salary, and if you really can't handle like the financial aspect of things, then go get another job. Like, go back to work and like work corporate and just do that if you can't handle it. And he wasn't being mean, he was really just being logical. And when I took all of the emotion out of it and looked at it logically, it was like, these are my two options to like settle in and get used to the bumpy road, or go back to working full-time corporate, and like, what's gonna make me happier? Well, settling in, getting used to the bumpy road and doing my own thing is going to make me so much happier, especially in the long run. So I'm really grateful for all of those chats with people who were able to help me out. I really recommend, whatever you're feeling, like talking to someone, and talk to multiple people can really, really help you out. And you don't need to go at it from an advice perspective, like, what should I do? I think it's when you're speaking to people and when you want to get something off your chest, you can say like, hey, can you hear me out about this? Because sometimes we can get unsolicited advice and that's not helpful either. But just having people hear you out and maybe reflecting your thoughts back to you and putting it in a logical manner, because when we're anxious and when our brains are spinning, we're not being logical. So having someone who's neutral reflect things back to you logically is really helpful. And for just to give an example of like who would not be a good sounding board for me and who would not spin things back to me logically would be my mom, because she's very anxious about money. So you got to pick your audience, but that should be helpful, and that really, really helped me. So that was at the beginning of the month, transitioning. How am I feeling now? I'm feeling way more confident and just like settling in. Like I said, nothing has changed. Like, nothing from looking at my forecast and seeing it be kind of dry to now. I'm still looking forward and it's still quite dry. Like, nothing has changed, but I have flipped my perspective from making money, make money, make money, to make good content, have fun, enjoy this. And that just gets me so excited that it's able to kind of override or step over those negative feelings. So I really hope this stays. I know it's going to be constant work to keep feeling this way and not get caught up in the numbers and not get caught up to like comparing myself to people on social media or comparing myself to other YouTubers even, right? Comparison's just like the worst thing you can do. So that's kind of the feelings update for this video. I feel like I just word vomited all over the place, but I would love for you to let me know your thoughts down below. How have you been feeling towards money lately? Because all of our feelings are valid and they're all important, and I would love to just check in with you that way. The other thing looking forward that I'm excited to is, by flipping my mindset to this like a little bit more frugal, like a little bit more focusing on my business. I hate sounding like that. I feel like I sound like an MLM girl, like my business. But focusing on myself as a business, I guess, I feel like it brings me back to that frugal mentality where I don't have to feel like I'm spending so much, because it's really easy to, when you are making money or when you feel like you're making money, or when you want to feel a certain way, it's easy to get caught up in like the spend, spend, spend. And I do feel like I got pretty caught up. Like, I haven't been spending like crazy. I haven't been like, I'm nowhere back to like when I was at my worst in terms of spending. I'm nowhere near there, but I definitely picked up my spending a little bit, and I was really blaming it on the summertime. But I've just been reflecting a bit lately, and I need to like take my own advice, because Old Zoe, when she was paying off her debt, had some really good advice, which was just like, say no to shit. Like, don't go down that road. Like, just say no, because down the line, you're gonna feel better. So I'm going to be putting just saying no to things like, hey, yeah, okay, I'm down to go get a coffee with you, but I'm not gonna get anything. Or like, yeah, I'm down to like, go for dinner with you, but like, I'm just gonna get an appetizer and I'm gonna eat beforehand. Like, I used to have all of these hacks that I would do that I just kind of stopped doing. So I'm gonna go back into that mindset, because even though I'm not making as much money as like whatever, I still really do want to focus on my savings and building that emergency fund. I don't just want to throw my hands up and be like, well, I'm not making money, so like no savings and I'm gonna keep spending, right? I still want to try and prioritize savings, and especially with the market going down, everyone's saying now's the time to invest. So I want to do a little bit of that too, if possible. All right, now before we get into the numbers of it all and I go into what I spent, I want to thank Pila for sponsoring today's video. I've been working with Pila for a couple months now, and before I was working with them, I was a customer. I love their phone cases so much, and they recently sent me a new one, which is this. For the summertime, it is so perfect. Like, it matches my shirt. It's such a fun summer vibe. This is the case that I've had on my phone for the beginning of summer. It's like a terrazzo kind of stone print, and I'm so excited to swap it out for this one. So let's do it together. Inside my phone, I also have this radiation blocker from Pila. It just feels like cardboard, but it's supposed to send out the radiation. Instead of like sending it into you, it blasts it like out. And it's just like really thin and sits in the back of your phone case. It has kind of like a soft, stretchy material, so it just snaps on really easily. That's my phone screen for anyone wondering. Look how cute that looks. That is so perfect for summer, and it just matches my shirt perfectly. So what is so special about Pila? My favorite thing, and like the main amazing thing about Pila, is that their phone cases are biodegradable. So when you're done with your phone case, let's say you change phones or you don't want it anymore, whatever, you can throw your phone case in your municipal compost, or you can mail it back to Pila and it will totally decompose and compost. That is insane and is like unheard of with any other phone cases. I've actually seen that some phone case companies have started doing this, but I heard about it from Pila first, which means they're doing something right. I also love the fact that they are a Canadian brand, so I'm like supporting a company in my home country, which feels great. And they're just so amazing. Their customer service is great. Everything on their website is great. What I wanted to focus and highlight on today is something that I really appreciate, and I noticed that when I was picking out this phone case, is that no matter what phone model you have, even if it's like a really old model, they are still coming out with new phone cases for your phone model. I have the iPhone XR or XR, and most phone case companies have just like stopped making new and trendy, nice cases for the older phone models. Some phone case companies only offer models for iPhone. Like, they're not always inclusive, but Pila is super inclusive, because no matter what phone you have, whether it's Android, Google, iPhone, and no matter what model it is, they're always launching new designs for your phone. So I chose this one for the summer. It is so gorgeous. And these are some of the other phone cases that I have. I think this one is my like year-round favorite. It has the engraved mushrooms in it. This was the original one that I bought. It's like a forest green. And we have the yoga girlies here. So I love to play around and interchange the phone cases, and it's so fun that, like I said, no matter your phone, there's always like a new fun phone case waiting for you, and you don't have to have any guilt because these will just biodegrade. It's amazing. So if you're not convinced yet, I have a 40% off discount code for the first 50 subscribers to click the link down below and use code Zoe. You heard me, 40%, that is insane, off of your order on Pila. I have so many friends who's used my code, and so many of you guys have ordered as well, because this deal is just too good to pass up. So go grab yourself a new phone case. Let me know which one you get in the comments. And if you're not one of the first 50 people, you'll still get 20% off, which is pretty amazing. So thank you so much, Pila, for sponsoring this video. And let's get back into the numbers. So the first step of my like finance routine is I just like to get comfy, grab like a glass of water or coffee, tea, whatever, and I sit down with my laptop and I pull up my credit card statements and I just review everything that I spent, and then I'll take a look at everything that I earned. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I always do this pretty much on the day that I film these because it's just like doing all of my banking at once, and it's not always the most, like sometimes I get quite anxious while I'm doing this, so I like to just get it over with one shot. Today I'm feeling pretty good because I already have an idea of like what I spent, what I earned. I already know it's not the best, and I already have a plan in place for next month to just do better. So I'm not feeling too bad about it, but I'll just open up a spreadsheet. I'll label it June finances, and then I'll open up all of my expenses and I copy them into the spreadsheet, and then I take a look and analyze them. All right, so that clip you saw was a little bit earlier. Now let's talk about everything that I built and what I spent. So we'll go over, should we do totals first? Or should we we'll do grand totals first. I feel like it's I feel like it's anticlimactic to do like the grand total first, but in my head, it's like you look at the grand total and then you like break it down. So that's how I like to do it. But I feel like doing the breakdown and then giving you guys the grand total would be like more dramatic, but this is the way it makes sense in my head. So that's how we're gonna do it. I separated my spending into my American Express, my MasterCard, Coho, which is my prepaid card, and my checking account. So we have total spending and total owing. So my total spending this month was $3,063, which is very high. It's not the highest it's ever been, of course, which is always my excuse, but it's definitely high. There was one thing in there that like really kind of pushed me over the edge, which we'll talk about. But the good news is that of that 3,000, I mean, not the best news, but decent news, is that of that 3,000, I'm owing 1,940. So that means that 1,940 was spent on credit, and the rest of the spending was spent with money that is already mine, like from my checking account or from my Coho. So again, rather than rattle off like all of my purchases, I'm just gonna tell you guys my totals for the categories, and then I'll let you know like what the biggest from each one was. So first category is groceries. This was like shockingly low this month. It was only $171, which feels really, really low. I know that part of it is because I was gone for like 10 days out of the month. So you know, I was gone for part of that. I think I was in Ottawa for part of it as well, which means that like I wasn't home buying groceries. But yeah, this was really low. I also did eat out more, probably because I just wasn't buying groceries, but I don't really understand why this is so low, but I double checked and that's what it was. Next category is home stuff, which on credit, I spent nothing, which is great. But I did buy a new dining table and chairs set on Facebook Marketplace for $550, which was a great deal, but also a lot of money still. So that is where that like big chunk that I was just mentioning comes from. Gas, nothing. I like didn't touch my car this month, which is good. $15 for Maggie because last month I spent a lot on her. So this month I kind of took it easy. So only $15. Dining out was $130. This isn't that bad when I say it just like that, but I still feel like it was quite high. Like I wish that it wasn't that high because I still also dined out on my Coho. So this was like illegal dining out. This is like unauthorized dining out. So I wish that that could have just been totally slashed. And next month, that's what I want to work on is like, and this is my problem. This is where it comes back to saying no is like, once I've reached the limit on my prepaid card, stop eating out, Zoe. Like, just say no. You know, like, just say no. It's not that hard. Well, it is hard, but that's gonna be my challenge for next month. So let's see if I can stick to it to have $0 on the credit cards for dining out. And I didn't include my Coho in any of these because my Coho is just guilt-free spending, so I don't analyze it once it's done. Next up is transportation. I spent $19 on credit and $350 on debit. Pretty good. That was all just taking the metro around. Business expenses, so anything related to YouTube, I spent $246 on credit, which includes a new hard drive for my computer and a couple other things. And then I spent $150 cash because I actually, shout out Allie, I paid her to help me out with some stuff for Instagram. So that was $150 for the month. Car stuff was $0, didn't buy anything for my car. Still haven't fixed my windshield, ouch. Therapy, $320, which is 2 therapy sessions in the month, which is what I budget for. Treat yourself, fucking high, like fuck off, Zoe. $300 on credit. I bought myself a new wallet, which was like so needed, but also just like, ouch, like I should have saved up for it before I bought it. And what else was in here? Oh my gosh, okay. I fell for some ads. You guys always, not you guys, but like some of you guys come for me in the comments of like how susceptible I am to advertising, and it's so true because like I see an ad for something and I'm like, give me that, give me that, give me that. So I've been seeing ads for Mud Water, which is like a coffee alternative, all over the place, and then I ordered some for $100, which is crazy, but I've also stopped buying coffee and tea. So I'm like, cut that budget, and I got the Mud Water, gonna try it out. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, those 2 things really brought up the treat yourself budget. Next was vacation. So I went to Florida and I spent way too much money there. Like I was out of control. I was like, let's go. Most of this was on dining out. I spent $654. This included dining out. This was also groceries for my boyfriend's mom and I paid for the groceries for the house because I was staying there for free. I also paid for the parking at the airport, which was $50. I just tried to pick up the bill more often because she was letting me stay in her house for free, which is like so nice. So overall, this was a very cheap vacation, like $650, and then I paid $250 for the flights, but I bought those a couple months ago. So still like a very reasonably priced vacation, but also still a lot of money. And that's the thing that we have to like consider sometimes is like, just because something's a good deal doesn't mean it's not a lot of money, right? It's a good deal on a vacation, but I still spent a lot of money. So I'm glad I went, but no more vacations until I think September. So I'm just gonna try and like, not get that money back because it's not back, but just make sure that this next month I'm really cutting back to kind of make up for that vacation. And that's okay. Like it's okay to go on vacation and spend a bit more money and then spend less the next month, right? Like it's worth it. It's compromise. Next category is gifts. I spent about $60 on gifts for people. That's totally fine. Like I'm cool with that. Subscriptions, $17, which is Spotify and Apple. And then health, I spent $90 on my credit card to get my eyes checked and $100 from my checking account to go to the osteopath. So let me post a screenshot right here so you can take a closer look at all of the totals if you like to see that stuff. And now let's talk about my recurring expenses. I'm just gonna breeze over these. So rent and parking every single month is $1,510, paid on the first of the month, of course. Hydro, which is hot water, heat, electricity, etc., averages at about $100 every 2 months, but for the summertime, it's usually a bit lower. I actually just got my bill and it was for $65. Car payment is $210 a month, and that happens twice a month. My phone is $75 and my internet is $80. The reason my internet is so expensive is because I have a really high upload speed, which is not like normal because of YouTube. So that's why my internet is so high, and phone and internet in Canada just in general are so expensive. But those are all of my recurring expenses. So now let's get into the what I earned section of the video. I have 3 jobs, 3 jobs. YouTube, of course, which is broken down into YouTube AdSense and YouTube sponsorship. Then I have a contract as a copywriter, and I help my dad with bookkeeping for his small business. Now, in the past, I actually wasn't getting paid for the bookkeeping because we were just kind of like testing it out, seeing if it's something that I like, and I was doing it to help him out. But it's been going really well, and he's asked me to like take on more responsibility and help out a bit more. So I did get paid this month, and we actually back paid everything that I did from January. So that's really great. I'm really grateful for that because, like I said, YouTube was a bit slower, copywriting was a bit slower, so I really did need that money, and I'm just really grateful that we came to an agreement there. So let's talk numbers. YouTube AdSense, I earned $1,386. YouTube sponsorships, $2,050. Contracts, I actually earned $0. Everyone was on vacation and it was really slow for my contract. And for bookkeeping, this is everything from January to now, mid-June, let's say, was $1,785. So all of those numbers are before taxes, and I do have to put away money for taxes because when you're self-employed, the government doesn't automatically take it off, or your employer doesn't take it off for the government like they do when you work for someone else. So none of these numbers are final. I have to take off money for taxes, and I usually take off about 30% just to be safe because my biggest fear is getting slapped in the face at the end of the year with a fat tax bill, so I like to play it on the safe side. Lastly, let's talk about repayment. So again, on my Amex, I'm owing $13.91. My MasterCard is $5.40, making for a total amount owing on credit $1,950. Then I want to refill my Coho card with $400. I'm gonna make it a little bit higher because I think from a mental perspective, what happens is when I see that balance getting lower, I right away switch to my credit cards, and then that's where it's harder to control. So I'm gonna give myself $400 on Coho for the month. I also have like no money in my checking account right now. I have like $20, which is pretty bad. I like to keep around $200 in my checking account just in case of emergency, but also because that's where my car loan comes through. So I need to make sure that I'm keeping some money in my checking account. My 1 month ahead, which is where I put money throughout the month to pay my rent and my parking, is currently at the exact amount I need for rent. So my rent is covered for July, but there's no extra savings in there like I like to have. And then my monthly goal is to put $1,000 into my emergency fund. I don't think it's gonna happen this month, just like looking at all of the totals of like what I earned, what I have in my accounts and all of that. But let's go one step at a time, starting with paying off the credit cards. So for my credit cards, I'm going to take the money directly from my YouTube account. Anytime I get paid for anything that has to do with YouTube, I right away put it into a special savings account that's just for YouTube. And then from there, I'll take the money, pay off my credit cards, put money into my tax savings, etc. So we'll start with the credit cards. Okay, so I just paid off both of my credit cards, and then I sent money to my tax savings, and then I sent the $400 to my prepaid card. So it's like everything that I'm kind of owing and my savings, my like immediate savings are covered. And then I was just reflecting, I was looking at my balance and reflecting on what do I want to do with the leftover money? I don't have much left over because I want to leave still a balance in my YouTube account. Again, I like to keep like a little bit in there just in case of emergency, in case any expenses related to YouTube come up that I need to take out of there. And I want to keep some money in my checking account, of course. So I have decided that with the remaining money, which is about, actually, how much is it? So there's about $860 left to play with. I'm just gonna shove all of that into my 1 month ahead so that after I pay my rent at the first of the month, that account isn't totally empty, which I know that if I see zero in that account, I am going to be discouraged. And I've already made some really great progress with my emergency fund, so it's okay that it goes on pause for the month. It is slightly disappointing because I did contribute to it 2 months in a row, which felt amazing. So to not really hit that goal does feel disappointing, but it's okay. And I'll use this kind of disappointed feeling to fuel my saying no and sticking more to my like budget throughout the month as motivation. And hopefully next month in July, I'll be able to put that money back into my emergency fund. So that is what is up. That is it for all of my spending and all of my savings for the month. And I guess that means it's a wrap on this video. I wanna ask you guys, what do you think of this new structure? Because I feel like these videos are much more efficient, where they used to be like really chatty and kind of all over the place, and I would rattle off all of my expenses. So let me know your feedback. Do you like the old style? Do you like this style? Is there something else that's missing that you wanna know about? Let me know in the comments what you think, because I wanna make sure that these videos are entertaining and helpful for you guys and that you can get the most out of them as well. So let me know that. And as usual, let me know in the comments what your most expensive and your best purchase of the month was. And thank you to Pila for sponsoring. And that is all of my outro words. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Bye.